How's it going, everyone? This is Jason Navarro. You're listening to Tongues Out Podcast, and let's just jump right into today's subject. And so, in yesterday's podcast, I talked about um, I'm an emotional person. I'm not gonna lie. I tend to 8 times out of 10 get very emotional about things that are very awe inspiring or things that are beautiful, things that are like super impactful to society, people like being charitable, people being good, people being great representatives of the human race and essentially doing good onto others and trying to help the less fortunate en masse, but not more so through like purchasing things, even though sometimes that can get me. It's more like personal efforts and like movements and seeing how people's philosophies and thoughts can really gravitate and spread that kind of message of unity and love amongst society. That stuff always gets me every single time I see it. And then there are other little things here and there as well. I love things that are moving and inspiring for children. Um, that always gets me as well, even being older. I'm very fascinated by that idea to be instilled into young individuals' minds, and I think that's a very impactful and powerful thing as well. And so, in yesterday's podcast, I talked a lot about um, a narration by a famous scientist who passed away named Carl Sagan, and his narration on the Earth and how important it is for us to recognize that we all share this one planet together. This is the only thing that we know of that we could ever live on. And so we need to respect it and take care of this planet, but at the same time, understand and be understand humility and understand that we are nothing. And when you compare us to the vastness of space, and this idea that somehow we are super important just needs to disappear so we can have more of an understanding that, look, there are far greater things out there, and we should unify to try to better grasp and understand those things and what they are. But his message it delivers it a lot better. I narrated it, and I don't think I do it justice, so I linked the YouTube video into the podcast itself. But in today's one, I want to talk about another one that really gets me every single time, and and I talked about it in yesterday's podcast. It's a story called The Egg. And so I'm going to read that story to you. It's by Andy Weir. He is best known for his novel, The Martian, that got turned into a movie with Matt Damon. And he's before that movie and before he wrote that novel, he wrote a short story that he posted out on a blog. And the story is called The Egg, but I never heard of it until a great YouTube channel that I watch called Kurzgesagt did an animated video and narration of this story, and they did a phenomenal job with it. And I'm going to link that video in this podcast as well. But just to read the story out to you, I'm going to try to do my best for everyone. And if you get a chance, watch the Kurzgesagt video. I think it does a really great job of animating the story and narrating it as well. But here we go. You were on your way home when you died. It was a car accident, nothing particularly remarkable, but fatal nonetheless. You left behind a wife and 2 children. It was a painless death. The EMTs tried their best to save you, but to no avail. Your body was so utterly shattered, you were better off. Trust me. And that's when you met me. What happened, you asked. Where am I? You died, I said, matter-of-factly. No point in mincing words. There was a truck, and it was skidding. Yep, I said. I died? Yep. But don't feel bad about it. Everyone dies, I said. You looked around. There was nothingness, just you and me. What is this place? You asked. Is this the afterlife? More or less, I said. Are you God? You asked. Yep, I replied. I'm God. My kids, my wife, you said. What about them? Will they be all right? That's what I'd like to see, I said. You just died, and your main concern is for your family. That's good stuff right there. You looked at me with fascination. To you, I didn't look like God. I just looked like some man, or possibly a woman, some vague authority figure, maybe, more of a grammar school teacher than the Almighty. Don't worry, I said. They'll be fine. Your kids will remember you as perfect in every way. They didn't have time to grow contempt for you. Your wife will cry on the outside, but will be secretly relieved. To be fair, your marriage was falling apart. If it's any consolation, she'll feel very guilty for feeling relieved. Oh, you said. So what happens now? Do I go to heaven or hell or something? Neither, I said. You'll be reincarnated. Ah, you said. So the Hindus were right. All religions are right in their own way, I said. Walk with me. You followed along as we strode through the void. Where are we going? Nowhere in particular, I said. It's just nice to walk while we talk. So what's the point then, you asked? When I get reborn, I'll just be a blank slate, right? A baby? So all my experiences and everything I did in this life won't matter? Not so, I said. You have within you all the knowledge and experiences of all your past lives. You just don't remember them right now. I stopped walking and took you by the shoulders. Your soul is more magnificent, beautiful, and gigantic than you can possibly imagine. A human mind can only contain a tiny fraction of what you are. It's like sticking your finger in a glass of water to see if it's hot or cold. You put a tiny part of yourself into the vessel, and when you bring it back out, you've gained all the experiences it had. You've been you've been in a human for the last 48 years. So you haven't stretched out yet and felt the rest of your immense consciousness. If we hung out here for long enough, you start to remember everything. But there's no point to doing that between each life. How many times have I been reincarnated then? Oh, lots, lots and lots. And into lots of different lives, I said. This time around, you'll be a Chinese peasant girl in 540 AD. Wait, what? You stammered. You're sending me back in time? Well, I guess technically, time as you know it only exists in your universe. Things are different where I come from. Where you come from, you said? Oh, sure, I explained. I come from somewhere else. And there are others like me. I know you'll want to know what it's like there, but honestly, you wouldn't understand. Oh, you said, a little let down. But wait, if I get reincarnated to other places in time, I could have interacted with myself at some point. Sure, happens all the time. And with both lives only aware of their own lifespan, you don't even know it's happening. So what's the point of it all? Seriously? I asked. Seriously? You're asking me for the meaning of life? Isn't that a little stereotypical? Well, it's a reasonable question, you persisted. I looked you in the eye. The meaning of life, the reason I made this whole universe, is for you to mature. You mean mankind? You want us to mature? No, just you. I made this whole universe for you. With each new life, you grow and mature and become a larger and greater intellect. Just me? What about everyone else? There is no one else, I said. In this universe, there's just you and me. You stared blankly at me. But all the people on earth, all you, different incarnations of you. Wait, I'm everyone? Now you're getting it, I said, with a congratulatory slap on the back. I'm every human being who ever lived? Or who will ever live? Yes. I'm Abraham Lincoln? And you're John Wilkes Booth, too, I added. I'm Hitler, you said, appalled, and you're the millions he killed. I'm Jesus, and you're everyone who'd followed him. You fell silent. Every time you victimized someone, I said, you were victimizing yourself. Every act of kindness you've done to yourself. Every happy and sad moment ever experienced by any human was or will be experienced by you. You thought for a long time. Why? You asked me. Why do all this? Because someday you will become like me. Because that's what you are. You're one of my kind. You're my child. Whoa, you said, incredulous. You mean I'm a god? No, not yet. You're a fetus. You're still growing. Once you've lived every human life throughout all time, you will have grown enough to be born. So the whole universe, you said, it's just an egg, I answered. Now it's time for you to move on to your next life. And I sent you on your way. That story, um, wow. Um, I don't really ever read the story. I like hearing the narration, and that's why I think it'll be best if I link that Kurzgesagt video again. Like I said, they do a great job of emphasizing points and narrating the story. Um, but it does make you wonder. I've done a podcast a long time ago about a subject that I'm a strong believer in a philosophical standpoint, which is solipsism, which is this idea that oneself is the creator or like a mind above you, but it's somehow your consciousness is the creator of all things that you perceive, that you know, that you can touch tangibly or understand. Everything around you, including your loved ones, all are created by some higher mind of yourself. And um, you don't need to be a believer in that story or in that philosophy. You could be a believer in the complete opposite of that, which is realism, which is this idea that the universe and everything that you see and everything that you perceive will continue whether you exist or not. Either one of those scenarios could really have this be part of that narrative and be part of that story. And I think it's such a powerful message in saying that you are no more important than any other person that you see, because that person is you. You are that person, and everyone that you meet and everything that you see is you. That's all you. And so treat those things you are as if you were to treat yourself. What do you want for yourself? You want longevity, you want prosperity, you want good health, you want to be loved, you want all of these things for yourself. And if you believe that everything else out there that you perceive is you as well, created by some higher being to better understand this message, and finally when all you, not just you but all of you understands that message, then you'll finally become the creator themselves. You'll finally understand the message. You'll finally understand the meaning behind everything, because when everything is in unison, I feel like that is when you finally step into that threshold of being a creator. And it's not you per se, but you as a collective of the universe, essentially. And as far fetched and as crazy of an idea as it is, maybe it is. Maybe that's why it's hard for you to grasp it until you pass and you have this small second to spend to talk to the creator, and for them to kind of nudge you back into the next person that you're supposed to be an infinite amount of times until finally you figure it out, you being the collective. That's the meaning I get from the story. And everyone will get their own perspective from it. ultimately, though, I think it's a story of beauty and respect, not of respecting oneself and respecting those around you. Because ultimately, all those people could be you. You don't know that. We don't know. Um, and I think it's a phenomenal message. I think it's an amazing message. And there are a lot of different things I wanted to talk about today, but I really do think that I need to keep these podcasts positive. And the best way to do that is to share with the world and share with everyone the things that make me be the positive person that I am, and the things that really ground me to being a more caring and compassionate individual. These are those things. And I lose sight of them, but these things bring me back. They bring me back to that person that I do want to be, the person that I want to die trying to be more of. Um, and so that's a great one. I might do the sunscreen song tomorrow, actually. I won't be able to sing it for you guys, but I can at least read the lyrics for you. Again, another powerful message, and one of the first things that introduced me to this idea of reading things that that motivate you to be a better person. But that's the egg. It's by the way, on a separate note from all of this, real quick, some huge things happened today. I'm not going to go into the politics of it, but it looks like our current president did not get reelected. I will eventually go into my thoughts about all of that. But actually, more important to me is that it finally rained today here in Las Vegas after like over 200 days of it not raining here. It finally rained today. Not much, but something. And it's also very cold. There's a massive cold front coming in on to the West Coast, and Nevada's getting some of that. I'm hoping it'll snow a little bit because I'm close enough to the mountains where if the conditions are just right, it might snow here, which would be really cool. But I'll be able to show my daughter snow for the first time, which will be so awesome. But either way, be good, be a caring individual, and try to spread this message to one other stranger, maybe someone that really needs to hear these kinds of things. But ultimately, thank you guys so much for listening. I love all of you guys. For those, I cannot believe I do not market this podcast, and I've talked about how I do want to do that. It's just been too hectic of a situation for me for the last month, and I look forward to the end of December when I will be able to do that for everyone and market this. But it's slowly growing without me doing anything, which leads me to believe that a lot of people that listen to me are telling other people to listen to me, which I think is pretty awesome. So thank you to everyone that's doing that. And I'll catch all of you guys mañana. Peace.